to get it from the mud together. We gonna win.
Being a man is hard.
Man, build from the ground.
Your many word. If you can't do something,
No, I'm just saying this as we go forward.
We are back live here at Brothers United Network, man. I want to talk about a special guest today that we have, my right hand guy, Brothers United, part of this family, man. My brother Steve. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the truth about Carmelo Anthony, man. We have to talk about this case today. And with my special guest today, going in detail about what is going on with him being on bond and what is the situation behind this because, man, this is a big case and it became a big deal because of social media. So let's talk about it, brother. What is your perspective on him being out on bond today? And what is really going on with this case?
Well, if you want to think about everything on both sides, we have to be honest. It is a tragedy on both sides. This whole case is an absolute tragedy. You have Carmelo Anthony, young man who ended up taking a life. I don't believe that he knew where the heart was on this young man's body to even stab. Uh, to stab a person in the heart, that's just unheard of. He ended up getting charged. Uh, that's something that is going to stick with him for the rest of his life. You have the Austin Metcalf, you know, that family, they're never going to get their son back. You know, yes, with the GoFundMe, they raised about $450,000 to help Carmelo. Uh, my understanding is that he is out on bond. The bond was like $250,000. He ended up paying it. The ultimate thing is that it's a tragedy on both sides because however you want to look at it, you got to look at these these boys, you know, they're 17 years old. Okay, you got raging hormones. You don't know what's going through their minds. Uh, I think the question we have to really ask ourselves is the lack of guidance on both parts. There was so much lack of guidance, in my opinion, on both these young men's lives. Another key issue that I feel like that is not being talked about because the first thing they say in school is where are the parents? Where are the parents? Okay. Well, you have these coaches, and a lot of your coaches, in high school are usually teachers, have degrees, things like that. So these coaches teach these young men discipline, doing the right thing, being a well productive member, in their community, things like that. Why did a teenage kid go talk to another teenage kid to create an altercation when you had these grown men who were coaches? Where were they at? Were they putting a dip in on a smoke break? Why is the coaches? There's no blame on the coaches. Why was it not the job of the coaches to go over and say, "Hey, young man, I understand that it's you're under our tent, but we don't want to have any problems, things like that. Would you please mind going to your side of the tent of your team's tent, excuse me, things like that. No disrespect. This is just our program. This is what we're doing." And I think that the altercation never would have happened. No one's talking about the finger on the coaches. You see what I'm saying? Why did it take a teenage boy or teenage boys to go talk to another teenager to have an altercation? Why couldn't the coach go and say something and prevent all of this? Let's talk about that.
Right. And see, the thing is, if you want to talk about the tent and everything, they say it was raining that day. So a lot of people, when it rains, when it comes to a situation like that with events or, you know, these type of sporting things, they all go into the tent. So that's another thing we do got to talk about. He didn't just go into the tent because he just felt like doing it. But he also went to the tent because that's what they did. It was raining heavy that day. So that's another really thing to talk about too. If you really want to add another layer to the conversation, if we really want to think about that. And so as you said before, man, like no real supervision, nobody talking about the coaches, and that's the big problem to me that nobody's holding the coaches accountable for pretty much supervising the children that should have been supervised because these still minor kids, whether they're playing sports, high school, whatever, they still minors. At the end of the day, they still kids. And so that's the bigger picture we need to talk about instead of talking about this white black situation and keep trying to push that narrative. Uh, and they said this guy was a bully. I don't know if he was a bully or not, right? I can't tell you if he was a bully. I don't know, but that was sure it was surely a confrontation. We both know it was a confrontation because for the boy to tell him to if you do something, if you what did he say? If you
He said,
touch me,
yes, he said something on the verge of lines is, touch me, see what happens. It's
exactly.
clear, it's clear as day. Um, it's, you got to look at the angles that we're being told, but also the big thing is we haven't seen no video footage. One of them kids
I
out
keep
there,
telling people that.
they got it recorded. You know, the kids these days are completely different than, what we used to do in school. You know, uh, prime example. This is my whole logic. You can't tell me that one teenage kid ain't got on the phone. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the kids these days, I remember it was the Nicholas Cruz situation. Instead of these kids running, they pop out on Snapchat. Look at this, just recording it like, man, I'm Roadrunner, beep beep, boom, I'm gone. I'm not about to get shot and put it on camera. Wow, run! Your life is in danger. Someone's shooting an AR at you. So there's no camera footage being released. I don't know why. I mean, maybe somebody's waiting to get paid, offer a award for camera footage. I don't know. But the thing is, when you have the eye in the sky, as they like to say, the camera, the eye in the sky, that is when it will tell all. You see, we're being told uh, there was an altercation. We were being told that someone was the bully, this and that. There's all these things. But see, we are adults. We know how to handle these situations. Even when we were teenagers, we might have handled them in the incorrect way. But if you want to think about it, okay, he says, "Hey, man, touch me, see what happens." You know, in my mind, when I hear that statement, I'm like, oh, somebody's clearly about it. Something has, kind of transpired. But like I said, we don't know. We don't have camera footage. There was said something like he had his backpack touched. He could have took that as disrespect, and he reacted the way he reacted. See what I'm saying? He took a disrespect. If I have a backpack and I say, "Hey, man, hey, touch, see what happens." Touch the backpack. I
So,
take that.
but
Just you take it as disrespect. You see, but how is it that didn't they say two young boys went up to Carmelo, right?
right, that was twin brothers.
Exactly.
So brothers, you already know brothers gonna they're gonna fight for each other, especially being twins.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and
These are the things that are not being talked about. They're not wanting to expose it. You have the older brother who was crying on social, was it crying on the news and saying that he became aggressive. Number one, you don't talk like that around your friends. He started becoming combative and aggressive. uh Son, sounds like to me there's a little bit more to this story ain't nobody talking about. Because you gonna point, everyone's pointing the finger at Carmelo. I understand it's a tragedy on both ends. It's a tragedy on both ends. It is a lack of guidance on both ends that we need to talk about in these both of these young men's lives.
And the
Whether go ahead,
and
brother.
the crazy thing is the twin brothers had the father and the mother. And
Yes,
I commend the father for saying what he said, that this ain't about racism and he wasn't pushing that narrative, that all of this. I respect that he don't have no hate. That's commendable of him, because most men would have had a lot of hate. But the truth of the
absolutely.
matter is, why was your sons so aggressive, and why was they? Why was the way they was? You know what I'm saying? And that's something I think need to be addressed, man. Because me and you, we understand that men today have no guidance, and we have a lack of leadership, within our communities, and it comes from broken families, and a lack of having that father, man, that really got the boys, and that's the bottom line. And this is why this situation occurred the way it did from both sides. Both of them had some type of lack of structure, man. Because how they talk about Kraft, like he was just this good kid who played football, but he was also an aggressive kid. We understand testosterone. He really was, man. I'm not the type of person that would come on here and just kind of bash the dead, or any on both sides, because we both understand that this was horrible. This tragedy should have never occurred. This should have never happened. And like I said, there should have been proper supervision that was not proper, and that no coach was in sight to even. And the problem is, what irritates me about this case is that they don't even talk about no coaches, like it was non-existence, like they playing for a team that they coaching themselves. That's what really got to me overall. Because, man, dude, that's what teachers for. That's what you got these people for. That's what you have coaches for. If it's on school grounds, school premises, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Where's the proper supervision? And why nobody talking about it? You want to push all these other narratives? No, let's push the real narrative. Where is the supervision at? And that's what nobody talking about. And this is a huge issue within this case, man, that nobody really addressing, man. And the thing is, to be honest with you, brother, a lot of cases nowadays. It was another case recently about Travis Harton. It was a kid who went up there and shot 5 people in school. And these are all men and boys. And I mean, we had this conversation talking about in America, this is a very unhealthy environment for boys because of a lack of love. And we understand how hard it is for men. And nobody really addressing this situation, that why this stuff happened. Because it was really senseless, and it has nothing to do with race, man. Just senseless, really senseless. So, what's your perspective on that, uh, my good brother?
There is a lack of guidance in young men. I think there is a lack of core values. I think there is a lack of rules for men today. They don't hold themselves accountable to rules. They don't have rules for themselves. In Brothers United, we have rules for ourselves that we live by. There is a lack of uh, daily routine. Everything stems back to the core of you got to have a daily routine. You got to have rules. You got to have values. You have to have guidance. Not all of us received guidance, okay? But aren't them coaches supposed to give some kind of guidance to these young men?
Really, sports is supposed to teach leadership,
Yes,
and sports teach brotherhood also, because you got to learn how to be a team player and look out for your comrade on that field, man. And that's why this whole situation is really a travesty, because it's like, dang, what is going on? What did the coaches teach these boys, and why did it escalate so bad for this kid to pull out a knife and want to stab him? Like, that didn't make no sense to me, man. And that's why it's very important. That's why, for me, I don't have a dog in the fight from a standpoint from, like, I don't take sides. I can't take a side in this situation. The reason why is because they have no camera footage. We don't know
yes,
what went down. So what I'm doing who am I to make a bold statement or a guess? I'm going to guess. I want to guess. I'm not gonna guess. I don't know. I look crazy playing. That's what don't make any sense to me.
Yes.
And so this whole situation is just it's sad, very sad, especially when we talk about him being on bond. And I know you want to go into this situation, but we have to talk about the crazy part with this kid with the money. What did they do with the money? How did they approach it with him being on bond? I would like you to go in detail about that.
Well, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. Apparently, some car purchases were made. One of the car purchases was a white Escalade. You know, there was I'm guessing the renting of a gated community, really, really super nice house that the neighbors they absolutely hate the Carmelo Anthony family. They want them out. They want them away from the neighborhood. You know, um, and then also, I believe there was, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was something about they had a DoorDash order that was like $15,000. What I'm hearing now to myself, it's just a bad deal, and I'm not saying it on, that part, but I'm saying it on, you know, the young man's on both sides. Like I said, my main thing is this is a tragedy. You know, you have this young man, he was 17 years old. You had a knife at a sporting event, a high school sporting event. Number one, you have a knife. Number two, that's expulsion. Okay. From back when I was in school, you had a knife on school grounds, you had a weapon on school grounds, that's expulsion. You know, how old do you have to be to purchase a knife? What, 18 years old? Ain't that right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're 17-year-old, you have a knife in your backpack. Who bought the knife for you? Where'd you get the knife? You see what I'm saying? They're gonna look at all these factors. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna try to go ahead and deem this young man. Oh, he's super violent. He's this and that and everything. Don't make this young man out to be whatever you want to draw up, because you don't know this young man. He is a young man at the end of the day whose life is drastically changed. If you look at I guess it was the booking photo, you could tell the young man was scared. He was scared. You could see the redness around his eyes. He,
Yeah.
he had been crying.
Yeah.
He was scared. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they're gonna look at, hey, you're 17 years old, you had a knife, where'd you get the knife? You're not supposed to have it. Number two, you're on school grounds with it. That's expulsion. Number three, you you committed a crime. You made a decision based off of, some people are saying emotion, some people are saying self-defense. You will not know anything until the eye in the sky comes out and reveals all. One of them teenagers got that footage.
And and when you think about this, say the footage come out and everything happens the way it happens, right? So you get the footage, the camera footage. It actually shows McCraft and his brother punching on him, right? The court don't care. See, that's the sad situation of this case. Court do not care that he was getting punched on. We can say Texas has a stand your ground laws, but at the end of the day, they still gonna look at it as he used a weapon. Even if the boys was jumping on that boy, he managed to get the knife and stabbed him. That's the truth. And to me, that's a sad reality because that could be a possibility. And until the camera footage is shown, I look at everything. I look at the full spectrum, because we all know the court system and we all know how it goes. It's about money at the end of the day. They get as many people into the prison. That's how they get paid. It's like a hotel. You know what I'm saying? You got to get as many beds filled. and get that payment going. You know what I'm saying? And that's the truth. That's the truth about this case, man. Is that no matter how you want to put the shoe on or fit it, it's tough. It's sad. Both ends, man. It all stems from a lack of truly guidance, like true guidance. Oh, but the McCraft, his brother, they had a father and mother. Obviously, somebody didn't do something right or correct. Or, if it went the other way, Carmelo Anthony, um, if he just stabbed the guy for nothing, he just came over there, he just stabbed him. That's the same thing. Why are you stabbing people in school? Why are you using weapons, man? So, I mean, the narrative can go either way, man.
I
And
see
that's
that
true.
they're, I see that they're flipping the narrative where they're saying he had a knife just in case something happened. You see, I'm seeing that they're saying, oh, he had a knife to protect himself. Back in our day, we fought. Hey, we got down. You know, sometimes, hey, knives came out. Sometimes, you know, uh, that's just what's part of the game. You're not always gonna have people are gonna do fair fights. It's like they say, street fight. There ain't no rules in a street fight. You know, you're gonna have people. I already know when me and you were going to school, you had people, uh, who you hanged with or whatever that I hanged with. Of course, we go somewhere. We go to the gas station. When one of them had a knife, that's just we're boys. We're boys. We're young and we're stupid teenagers. And we don't know no better. you know. But that's hey. Sometimes people got in fights, and sometimes people pull knives. It's just the nature of the beast. This young man is a teenager at the end of the day. He's 17. He made a decision based off people are saying, hey, stand your ground. Hey, emotion, you know, the end of the day, the court is going to look at it. You took another person's life.
Even though he's a minor, even
Even
though
though
he's a kid,
he's 17, he has his whole life ahead of him. Whole life ahead of him. I understand that it isn't. Oh my goodness. I can't even to fathom or want to believe, the pressure and anxiety that is on both sides. You got the family that never is having their son coming back. You have the other side of a family where their kid's gonna have to go see that judge again at 18 years old. And they're gonna take everything in account. And the thing about Texas is, um, you know, it's Texas is one of them states you might not want to play around in. Like they say, what bigger and better in Texas. Now, yes, when it comes down to crime, depending on what county you commit a crime is depending on uh kind of like your punishment. So let me explain. So let's say you do a crime, you commit a murder in a county that doesn't have a whole lot of money, right? So they could give you what, 25, 30 years. Now, if you go to one of these counties that have a lot of money, like the rich cities, their counties, and you commit that same murder, if they want to, they can and will put you on death row. And there is nothing you can do about it. Why? Because that county has enough money to prosecute you and give you the death penalty. You see what I'm saying? That's something a lot of people don't know about Texas. How the crime how the crime works. You can go commit a murder in, some small town, don't have a lot of money. Okay, about 25, 30, 35 years. You go commit one of these other counties that got money. If they want to, they'll put you on death row. You know, and I hope to God that you know this young man is not going to have to be on death row. And you got other people who are saying other things. Ladies and gentlemen, he's 17.
Yeah,
He's got a whole life ahead of him. Let's look at it. Let's
I
look at the spectrum. It's a tragedy. All I can do is pray for both sides. That's all I can do. Brothers United, I am about preserving male life, helping men.
absolutely,
I'm not about.
absolutely. That's why.
We're not about pointing fingers. We're about preserving and helping men. All I can do is pray.
That's it. Because it's sad in both ends, man. And I'm pretty sure the kid didn't mean to kill the kid. He didn't mean to kill him.
He
I
didn't
think he
know what
tried to
the heart
do.
was. He didn't. There's
Yeah,
no way he knew where the heart was. He just stabbed.
yeah. And I heard dude. I heard a crazy comment, bro. I think I saw somebody say that this dude did a Call of Duty kill. I swear, bro. People are crazy, man. You know what I'm talking about? Call of Duty with the knife. I'm like, these
Yeah.
dudes are, you know what I'm saying? These dudes are crazy. But see, the thing is, man, it's like what you said, man. Like preserving man life is very important. That's why I say when you look at this kid, man, he's just a scared kid. Honestly, he was just scared of whatever happened. If he got hit and he tried to defend himself, just tried to stab anywhere. He didn't think he was gonna actually kill the kid like that. And I think that when he actually stabbed him where he stabbed him, he was shocked himself. I think it was more of a state of shock, like, dang, I ain't really mean to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's kind of like you get into the heat of the moment. You ever been fought somebody before and you like fighting or somebody pick up something trying to whack you upside your head because you're
Oh
just
yeah.
trying to get the upper hand on them? That's a fight, man. A fight is full of adrenaline. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You trying to do whatever you can to survive. It's like a survival thing. Like you trying to you surviving. Like, hold up, I'm fighting, trying to do whatever I gotta do to defend myself. And you know what I'm saying? I believe it came from that standpoint. I 100% don't believe that this kid intentionally tried to stab McCraft, bro. I'm sorry, man. I know people trying to steer that narrative and push that narrative, but I'm
Right.
sorry, man. That's not what it is, and it's not what it ever was with that kid. You can tell because he's gonna be traumatized for the rest of his
Of
life because of
course
that.
he's gonna be traumatized. I mean, he's a 17-year-old kid at 18. He's facing prison. What? This man. See, the thing what people aren't talking about. I understand this young man did what he did. Okay, but this man could be the next inventor, a next doctor, the next man that could potentially change things in this country. You see what I'm saying? Stop painting this kid out to be
Villain.
a villain. Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, brother. Wasn't he an athlete at his school? Didn't he play football? Didn't he run track? Wasn't he this big time athlete also?
I think so.
Okay,
Yep, he was.
so why would he just throw that away? Come on now, look at all this. Look at the whole spectrum. Everyone's making it about you know race, this and that. Well, look at it like this. You have these lawyers and politicians and everything cashing in on the money. Why wouldn't they cash in on the money? It's a hot topic. Cash
It
in
is.
on the money while it's here. Look at all these other YouTubers. They're making shorts. They're making videos. They're this every time I turn on the TV. The Carmelo. Every time I turn on this, Austin. I'm like, man, can I
Money, man.
watch TV? Come on now. Come
And
on
that's the
now.
truth.
Let's look
I
at
mean,
this.
that's yeah. I mean, it's money, man. So this is like a hot topic, and they're gonna capitalize off the topic, man. And they're gonna stir narratives to keep people, angry, confused, and divided as they always do. And I want because we're finna go into closure. We're gonna close this. What last words you have to say about this overall situation with McCraft and Carmelo Anthony being on bond? What is your thing? What is your perspective in closing? on this whole
Oh,
situation?
you know, I stand on preserving male life. I stand on giving men rules and values and a code to live by. I stand on having a daily routine. You know, I stand on helping men, preserving men's life and helping men. This is a situation that it's a complete. It's like a freak accident tragedy, and on each side, no one wins. Each side, and I can only imagine uh, just the thoughts that are going through both sides. You know, because that camera footage is going to come out, and that it gonna say what's going on with this case. You know, it's gonna let everybody know. And the only thing I can do is I can pray for both sides because the way the court's gonna look at it, you're 17, you're with a knife. You aren't supposed to have a knife. You're 17. You're on school grounds with a knife. Okay. I don't know what county he's going to be prosecuted in. You know, I know none of this. I know none of these things. It has been a big enough case where the whole, what is it, the whole nation's going on this whole thing.
Yeah,
You know, the only thing I can do is I can pray on both sides. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. Uh, that's me personally. Only thing I can do is I can pray on both sides for both families. That's all I can do because at this is something that uh, it's an absolute tragedy. You got a young
it
man that
really
lost.
is.
You got a young man that's facing prison time. You know, and I just hope, I just hope for the best on both sides. That's all I can do.
That's the truth, man. And in closing, like my brother said, it is an absolute tragedy, man. And both ends of the spectrum, both people lost. One person lost a family member, and another person pretty much possibly could lose his life for the rest of his life. And at the end of the day, and I want people to know this, and please listen, until we see camera footage, nobody gonna know the truth.